Hello and welcome to From Impossible to Inevitable. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am really excited about this episode, and it's something I desperately needed to hear in my own life. And so I'm excited to share it with you today. So here's a little bit about me. One of my very favorite things, always has been a favorite thing, as far back as I can remember. Of course, my parents will remember a time differently, but one of my favorite things is that I love to sleep. I do. I love to be cozied up in bed, just laying there, drifting off. I have a super cozy bed. I love it. And laying down at night is one of my very favorite things because it just feels like, okay, it's all done for today and no one needs me right now. And I can just sit here and enjoy the warmth and the comfort and the coziness. I love that. What's almost worse is that I love to sleep during the day when the sun is shining. I feel like there is nothing more indulgent than sleeping when the sun is up. I don't know why, but I love that. I love going to sleep, taking a nap, obviously, with the sun on my face. Oh, it feels amazing. I love it. It's one of my pleasures. I love to sleep. So, getting up in the morning is a hard thing for me. It's a really hard thing, especially when it's cold outside. However, I obviously do it. I have to get up at 6 o'clock to help get the girls ready for school, and that's that's a pleasure when I am energized and awake enough for it. I love to wake the girls up and get their first snuggles of the day. However, I love to sleep. And occasionally, once everybody has left, I will crawl back in bed for another couple of hours because it's so indulgent. And I love that. It's not as often as I'd like. Most of the time, I get the day going. I get the shower and I get going. However, I love to sleep. And I recently was talking to Jake about this a little bit. And one of his favorite things is that he loves to eat. He loves food. He loves to try new things. He loves to snack. He loves to cook. He loves food. And it dawned on me once I told him, I was like, look, I feel about sleep the way you feel about food. For me, food is just, I have to eat or else my body gets angry, but I don't really care about it. I don't really It's not a priority for me most of the time. For him, sleep's not really a priority for him. He sleeps because he needs the energy, but he doesn't need as much sleep as I do, and he doesn't enjoy it as much as I do. He'd rather do something else. As far as eating, I'd rather do something else. But when I told him that, I was like, I love sleep like you love food. And he was like, whoa, that's intense. And I was like, there we go. Now we're on the same page. Okay. Anyways, moving on from my love of sleep. I started this book this year. It's called Discipline is Destiny. It's by Ryan Holiday. Last year, I read Courage is Calling, and I shared a bit of that on the podcast. He is a modern philosopher. He's very well read, and he just takes concepts and even like these ancient texts and figures out, he just has a way with words that he just drives it home and really super impactful. I love his books. This is only the second book I've read, I guess, so let's put that caveat there. But Courage is Calling, I've read twice. I love that book, highly recommend it. And Discipline is Destiny. I'm only, like 30 pages in, and I already love it. It's so good. It's so good. If you don't need a kick in the butt, or you don't want a kick in the butt, don't bother. If you'd like a kick in the butt, I recommend it. Okay, so I'm just going to read this brief part here from this book because I feel like it is such a good perspective shift. Okay, in Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, we hear the most powerful man in the world trying to convince himself to get out of bed at dawn when part of himself wants desperately to stay. Is this what I was created for? He asks of his reluctance. To huddle under the blankets and stay warm? Yes, it is nicer under there. But is that what we were born for? To feel nice? That's how you're going to spend the gift of life, the gift of this present moment that you will never have again? Don't you see the plants, the birds, the ants, and the spiders and the bees going about their individual tasks, putting the world in order as best they can? He said to himself, but also to us. And you're not willing to do your job as a human being? Why aren't you running to do what your nature demands? Love that. I love that. Now, that's not to say I won't ever take a self-care nap in the middle of the day, but what a great perspective shift to think about the birds, the bees, the ants, and the spiders going about their day, their morning, putting the world in order as best they can. I love that. We all have something that our nature demands. Sometimes that's as obvious as getting the kids out, getting the kids up and out of the house and at school. And sometimes it's not as obvious, but there's something that your nature demands. This is highly individual. This is highly personal. There's something within you that's perfect for your talents, your skills, your inclinations that your nature demands of you to do. I would say that some people never give in to that. They never give in to what their nature demands of them because it's highly scary, it's highly vulnerable, because it's so personal. So artists are often artists because they have to be. I have a friend who paints every day because she has to paint every day. Like, it's an impulse that is just so deeply ingrained in her that it doesn't matter if she sells it or if nobody likes it or even if she doesn't like it. She has to paint every day for her well-being. Her nature demands it. These are the people that follow their passion, that are doing what they feel called to on the inside. Now, you know what that is for you. And maybe you know it like on the inside, you buried it a little bit because you're scared. Normal, just so you know, that's totally normal. And it's so powerful when you allow yourself to do what your nature demands. Part of the reason I started this podcast was because I couldn't stop thinking about it. My nature was demanding that I share personal development topics, even though I didn't have some big questions answered, even though I didn't know how I was going to do it, who exactly my target audience was, and all of these things that people, like really successful podcasters, would advise I know before I go into it. Like, well, who's your target audience? Well, create a um you know an avatar of the person you are perfect for, and blah blah blah. Okay, I don't have those questions answered, and I didn't let that stop me from going forward and being like, I don't know right now, and I'll figure it out eventually. In the meantime, I have to do this. This is part of what my nature demands, as well as my nature demands that I create artwork. My nature demands that I take care of my children, that I make sure that they have clean clothes, that they are up and ready for school, that that they are emotionally, physically, mentally cared for. My nature demands that. My nature demands that I take care of our home, that I take care of the feeling in our home. My nature demands that I have a dog. Did you hear that, Jacob? I do have a dog, and I need her. I need her desperately. So there are things that your nature demands of you. Some of these things are easy to pursue. They're easy to do. They're obvious. Some of them aren't. Some of them are hard to acknowledge sometimes. And that's okay. That's normal. What I love about this quote is that we all get the opportunity every single day to get up and to start putting the world in order the best way we can, the best way we know how. We are called to contribute the best way we can, the best way we know how, as our nature demands. Isn't that so powerful? I do love to sleep in. I do. And I feel like for me, it's one of those rewards. It's a luxury. It's like when I have done a great job all week, then I get to reward myself by sleeping in a little bit on Saturday or something like that. I can use sleeping in as a calorie-free treat because I feel that way about it. But I know that I am not created for sleeping. It's just something I really like. And I get to thankfully indulge in that every night. But also there is a boundary in which I have the opportunity to get up and contribute and help this world the best way I can, as my nature demands it. Anyways, I love that. I hope you find value in that beautiful quote. I hope you find some solace if you're not a morning person, that even at that time, the most powerful man in the world, Marcus Aurelius, had a very difficult time getting up sometimes. It's normal and it's part of it. My mom, on contrast, is a very morning person. She is just up and at it every single day. And I've always admired that. And I always kind of thought, oh, when I'm a mom, I'm just going to be an automatic morning person. That just kind of comes with it, right? Like that's just part of the package. It's not. I still love to sleep. Not part of the package. However, I can choose that. I always, every single day, have the opportunity to choose that. So I can follow in her footsteps that way, even though I thought that was just going to be a given to me when I had kids. But my oldest one's almost 10 and I'm still waiting for that. Thank you again for joining me today on the podcast. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye for now.